We want to do a little pre-stream time. Yep, there it is. It's live now. Pre-stream live. Pre-stream live. Pre-stream live. Yeehaw.
An echo effect.
Echo, 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 echo.
That's not a proper echo effect.
Well, I don't have those tools easily at my disposal.
Well, it'd be really cool to have like an echo effect for the squirrel.
Yeah. Squirrel, 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 squirrel. Yeah, that'd be cool. I could probably change or take the recording and do it with the recording, but
hey, there you go.
Yeah. It's all fun and games until someone gets hurt.
The squirrel will be fine. It'll be dinner, won't feel a thing.
Yeah. I was actually reading something a little while ago about the different caloric value of wild game, and squirrels actually pretty high in caloric value.
Yeah, I saw that actually. That's from Ask a Prepper, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that article. I kind of think that's amusing considering how tiny those creatures are. There's barely anything to them, but apparently they're really good.
Yeah, apparently they will, help keep you alive and feed you. Which is generally what happens when the world goes to pieces. Is the squirrel population really gets low.
I think the population of all easy to pick animals will get low. We have an epidemic of deer in my area. Yeah. One of my neighbors, she's forever chasing the deer out of her garden. They managed to get over her fence, and because she rents, she can't do anything about the damn fence.
Yep.
But if you go down her road early in the morning, you'll see her running after the deer, waving her trowel at them in her slippers and housecoat.
Well, that must be entertainment.
It is actually. It's really quite entertaining.
Local neighborhood entertainment.
Yep.
Watching the lady in her dress coat night coat chase the deer down the street.
Yeah, she's the only one who will go in her night coat, but there are so many people who are forever chasing the damn deer. We're not allowed to hunt them.
Yeah, I know.
Because we live right by a provincial park, so that's where they live.
You live in the city too. Hang on.
Yeah, it's true. I remember we saw, I think it was a 5-horn stag right in your parking lot.
What's that?
I said I think I remember seeing a 5-horn stag in your parking lot. Yes, raccoons. Raccoons are such bullies. We have gangs of them around our area.
Yeah, raccoons are bullies.
Now, when I was going to welding school, there was this gang of raccoons that made a home right in the path. That's a shortcut from the bus stop to my road. And even though I had steel-toed boots on that, I didn't go down that anymore. Nothing is creepier than having all of them line up along the side of the walkway and just staring at you and doing that low in their throat growl while you're walking by. It's creepy.
Yeah, well, raccoons have got very sharp talons. So,
a buddy of mine, he said there's a group of raccoons that have tried entering into his territory, and one of them tried to attack him, and he just punted it with his steelies all morning. He doesn't have any more problems.
Yeah, well, he's probably a lot bigger than you.
Yes, he is.
Which makes it a little easier to do that.
Yeah.
It was a 5-point buck that was wandering through my driveway the day hunting season opened last year.
Yeah. But you're not allowed to hunt in the city.
No. I could hunt in the city. I wouldn't have to go very far. Plus, they'd be more tender. There'll be more fat on them than the ones out in the forest because they're so well fed in the city.
They really would. The ones in the city are pretty chill and laid back and getting pretty plump.
Yeah, they're pretty plump deer compared to what's out in the forest. So anyway, we'll see what hunting season this year brings.
I hope you get one or two, because if you get one, then I can steal some venison from you. It's been years since I've had venison.
Yeah, it's been me too. I haven't had venison in many years now. Quite a few years.
It's funny, though, the way that we never really forget the taste of good things. I still remember drinking water that came out of this. It was an underground river, and I guess it had been traveling underground for thousands of years or something. I don't know. I can't remember all the details, but it was delicious.
Yep.
Absolutely amazing. You had to go for quite a hike to get there.
Yep.
And I still remember how awesome that was. I also remember how awesome well water is.
Oh, yeah.
I remember certain kinds of animals that I've gotten to have on my dinner plate, but everything else just kind of, fades, disappears. It's not really all that important, but certain things.
And on that note, it's time to have some good music, bad singing, off to the show.
Don't claim to know your story, don't even have my own. In the search for glory, gone with them sacred rules of old. They went missing down Highway 49. Devils at the crossroads, sitting doing time. Preacher man discovered, passed down from saint to sage, like a kind-hearted lover who's been lost on this stage. Went missing down Highway 49. Devils at the crossroads, sitting doing time. Down Highway 49. Devils at the crossroads, sitting doing time. Junkie and the chigger just seen who done the crime. Captain pulled the trigger, guess who's doing time? They went missing down Highway 49. Devils at the crossroads, is he yours or is he mine?
Definitely mine. Your story, don't even have my own. In our search for glory, gone with them sacred rules of old. Went missing down Highway 49. Devils at the crossroads, sitting doing time. Devils at a crossroads, jokers doing fine. Just sitting doing time. Yeah. We're back, people. After 2 weeks of everything flip crazy and forward and backwards and all sorts of directions, we are back with the live shows and everything that everyone thoroughly enjoys. Without much further ado, let's get this thing on the road.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for WordPress plugins A to Z, not Z.
This is the WordPress plugins easy listening list. It's episode 526, and we have plugins for all the currencies: lighting Bitcoin, admin entry, traveling the world, disabled forms, on-demand weather, and ClassicPress options, all coming up on WordPress plugins from A to Z. WordPress. It's the most popular content management and website solution on the internet. And with over 80,000 plugins to choose from, how do you separate the junk from the gems? Join us for a weekly, unrehearsed conversation about the latest and greatest in WordPress plugins. This is WordPress plugins from A to Z. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be hiding out there on the globe today. Coming to you direct from the Brewery Overlook in beautiful Victoria, British Columbia. I am John Overall, and with me is the ever lovely
Amber Overall.
And before we dig too far into today's show, well, we're going to add a little thing in here in memoriam of my older brother Raymond, who passed away almost 3 weeks ago, which has caused so much craziness in this. We're going to give him his due taps and a moment of silence. So let's do that now. Thank you, everyone, for indulging. If you'd like to know more about him, you can go check out his YouTube channel, which I'm going to leave running. It's at Jadiwan on YouTube, Jadiwan. You can check out and find out about him. He was a gamer. Spent a large chunk of his time gaming. All right. Well, that's all we got there. It's time for me to do my fave and...
Thank you for sharing, John. Now get down from that soapbox.
All right. This is number 33 of 52 episodes for 2021. 33 is the magic number. I hope that everyone out there managed to get that sunshine while it was still going strong. It seems, at least here on the island anyways, that fall is making itself known now, with cooler weather and cloudy days. Oh, it's been no rain yet. It's a little odd. Usually we get a lot of rain by now. If you didn't get the last of the sunshine, though, no worries. It'll probably be back at least one more time before the rains and snows come to stay. Remember also to keep up the hour a day that I keep yammering on about. Good book, nice drink, booze or not, whichever you prefer, and no media. I know I always feel a lot better after unplugging for a bit, at least once a day. Rinse and repeat as often as needed.
Absolutely. And we have some news.
Please, can everybody be quiet? Please be quiet. Shut up! Thank you. And now the WordPress news with John Overall.
Amber.
Just one thing. Hamdian said, sorry for your loss. Sometimes life sucks.
Yes, it does. And then we pick up the pieces and move on.
Yep. Without pain, you can't experience joy. Not really. So it all evens out one way or the other.
Yeah, eventually.
All right, so for news, the first 3 items were sent in by a listener. So this first one is Intel just signed a major chip-making deal with the Pentagon, and it could help the U.S. solve its semiconductor problem. At least we're hoping.
Yeah, well, it could take them a little time to get that up and running again.
Mm-hmm.
Not an easy thing to get a chip production factory running since they moved them all out of North America.
Yeah. Unfortunately, although we can hope.
Yeah.
Let's hope.
We can
'Cause
hope.
I'm kind of.
Can hope. They should put one in Canada too. You know.
That'd be useful.
Excellent.
And the next link here is he predicted the dark side of the internet 30 years ago. Why did no one listen?
Who did that?
I can't remember the name off the top of my head.
Oh no. Okay, this is a different link. I'm looking at the wrong one. Okay. Who did that? Philip Angre. Oh, computer scientist.
Yes.
He became a
that
humanities
was the-
professor? Okay. Well, I can see that. You know, if you're a computer engineer and you go into humanities, you can, and if you're studying humanities, you'll see human behavior. And as you study human behavior, you can see how easily the dark side of the internet would come about.
Yeah, he essentially predicted the one single-minded, powerful Big Brother government. So.
Yeah.
And yes, that's been predicted by everyone who is into computers the whole time, and everyone who has been into computers, especially in the earlier days, have been screaming, make sure that this doesn't happen. Take precautions. Don't listen. Don't join the big things.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody joined the Facebook and all those things. And, well, it's happening.
Oh, yeah. It definitely would be happening. It looks like a good article to read over.
It is, actually. I did read it. I just can't recall it all right now.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, that's why I totally skipped over the second one. So
You did.
Trend Micro's Linux threat report identifies the most vulnerable distributions and biggest security headaches. So this one I had a bit of a hard time following, probably just because I don't know as much about Linux.
Yeah.
But for people who do use Linux, a good one to go and check out. It goes through the various bits and pieces that are at the have the most vulnerabilities, and I believe for some it tells you how to fix it or how to prevent against it, but not all of them, if I'm recalling correctly.
Oh, absolutely. All right.
Uh,
Got some good news in the world of WordPress.
yes, Classic Editor has been extended for at least another year.
I'm surprised. I expected them to yank it at the end of this year.
I'm really glad they didn't.
Yeah. Well,
But
many people are going to be glad they didn't, but you can bet if they pushed it to 2022, that's the final deadline.
yeah, most likely. I'm reading various articles about how Classic Editor has been extended for another year and why you don't need it. You know, things trying to help people to get past their need for this, I guess.
Well,
maybe that's why they put it back for another year, because so many people are so dependent on using this, right?
Well, it's my problem is it's like I keep trying to use Gutenberg, but I keep getting lost in the way it works. And I like to go in and do text and other things real simple and quick, and you can't do it simple and quick in Gutenberg.
I've been playing with Gutenberg for a while, and I'm having a really hard time wrapping my head around it.
Yeah, it's one of those things that if you can wrap your head around it, it's going to work great. If you can't wrap your head around it, you got to plow and plow and plow until you get all the stones out of the way. It's just one of those things, and I'm slowly trying to work my way through it. You know, I should have jumped on it 2 years ago when I saw it coming, but I was so pissed about the way they crammed it down our throat. And when I'm angry about something, it's really hard for me to accept it, period.
Yeah, you are kind of like that.
So now I'm slowly like, all right, well, I've got to learn it now, and I'll eventually get it learned before it's too late. You know, before they completely yank the rug out from under us.
Well, the last one I've got here is Sky Broadband in the UK went down yesterday, and they are still having issues today. I know this isn't here in the West. It's I believe it's over in the UK. UK.
Yeah, that's in the UK.
So,
Sky Broadband's in the UK. Must be a lot of really upset people.
Yes, there are. But the reason why I bring it forth is because it's always a good idea to keep an eye on things like this, in my opinion. Because if you see issues like this happening somewhere else, it kind of, I think that when you see stuff like this happening elsewhere, it's likely to happen in our area next.
Yeah, it could happen. When you see the big boys going down, everyone freaks out for the small ones. I say everybody has problems eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting one to check into. Himdian had one comment on the last article. Maybe they're worried about ClassicPress, so keeping Classic Editor around steals ClassicPress's thunder.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't think that they're that worried about ClassicPress. And ClassicPress, as much as I do like it, there's so many things it doesn't quite do for me yet, which is why I didn't jump. It didn't move as fast as I'd hoped it would move, and it will eventually take up and it will eventually challenge WordPress, because WordPress is getting more and more bloated and more problematic, and ClassicPress is cleaner and faster. So, and I'm glad that you like Gutenberg. If it makes sense for you, all the good. Your brain works in that particular direction. It's lack of anything else I can say about it. My brain just doesn't want to accept it.
I'm a little jealous. Gutenberg doesn't make sense for me yet, but so many people seem to be picking it up so easily. It's just, I feel like I'm banging my head against a brick wall.
Yeah. All right. There are a few other articles in here for folks to take a look at.
Yep, there is free tickets to WordCamp US Online 2021. And Google patches actively exploited 0-day bug in Chrome browser.
Oh, yay for Google. I said yay for Google.
And, of course, Tips Tuesday, and there's a few more in there as well.
All right, well, enough of that. Let's wander into the section where we like to acknowledge those that support the show with their time, talent, or treasure.
It's time to donate to WP Plugins A to Z.
All right, this is the point of the show where we do like to acknowledge those that help support this show. And for those of you that have been looking for our show last week and wasn't there, we apologize for that. Life was, as we at the beginning of the show, we acknowledged my older brother passed away, and it turmoiled my life for a couple of weeks. And we do like to acknowledge those that do support the show. Our listeners out there, our producers, we greatly appreciate you all. And for those that support the show with either their talent or their time or cash, either one of those is really quite useful. First off, we do like to acknowledge the person who has supported us with their talent, and that is our artwork. We've been really getting some really great artwork lately, and it's all been coming from Greg's Graphics. From Greg at Greg's Graphics. His link is in the show notes. Go check him out. This week here, the artwork we chose from him this week was this beautiful strumming guitar. Beautiful picture, and I like the way he put the logos on there to make it look kind of cool and easy listening. So thanks a lot, Greg. I really do like it, and I like the what you're doing with the other ones. You want to see everything else he's doing, go check the link in the show notes. You'll see the artwork there. And for any other artists that would like to submit, just go to wppluginsa2z.com, submit artwork, I think, or something like that. Links are in the show notes to go check it out and support the show with artwork. And we'd really like to have more artwork to choose from. Maybe get some competition running between the artists out there. It'd be great. Then we can.
I just want to add one thing, and the artwork doesn't have to be like anything too specific. Just so long as the logo's there, go nuts.
Yeah.
Send us in, go totally creative nuts.
Go creative nuts. Take the logo and do what you want with it. Just leave the basic design of the logo there. You can split it up, move it around, change the colors, have as much fun as you want. All right. And for those that support the show with their treasure, we'd like to thank a few of you out there. There's a few that come in under $50. If you come in with $50 or more, you get the note read out in the show, and we link it to wherever you want it to go linking to. So, it's a cheap way to buy some advertising on the show, $50 a show, or just, hey, donate to the show because you feel it's worthwhile. If you get anything out of it, this is a value for value show. If you're getting any value out of it, kick some value back to it. Could be anything. Pick a number, any number that'll work for you. Now, we do like to thank the small subscriptions. They really do help the show. And then there's the time for the show. We'll talk about the time when we get down to talking about the contest. We don't have anyone else submitting time right now. But hey, if you want to support the show with your time, there's lots of things you can do. We need stuff done on the website that we can't get to, such as management of the art gallery, such as helping us produce new items to improve the show, things of that nature. So reach out to us. You can reach out to me, John at wppro.ca, to see what we can set you up with to do. All right. with all that being said, it's time for us to move on into what most everyone shows up here for, and that is for our trip into the depths of plugin depravity. All right. First thing we got here, ClassicPress. We don't have anything this week, no news or anything else that I'm aware of. And so we'll just sort of mention that we have ClassicPress links to various places in ClassicPress section in the show notes. When we get more information and move forward, we'll bring it here. For a while, we had tons of it, but then it's dropped off, which is, I should have expected it. I was hoping it wasn't going to happen, but ClassicPress is not going anywhere. It's just going to hang in the low end for a long while, I think. Off we go into plugins. First thing I've got for you here in plugins, got one called All Currencies for WooCommerce. This is a plugin so that you can set up on your website and have an instant way. Nope, that's not the, that shouldn't, it says all currencies forbidden. It says Lighting Payment Gateway. Yeah, somehow I've got the link to the second plugin here.
Uh-oh.
Here, let's fix
How'd
that.
that happen?
Couldn't tell you. I must have been the person doing the show notes must have changed a couple things here. There we go. All currencies for WooCommerce. There it is.
I'll make sure I fix that.
That looks like the right one. So what it allows you to do is for when people come to your website, they can choose what currency to display your prices in. And accordingly, they've even got a few cryptocurrencies in here so people can find out what it would cost with cryptocurrencies to buy your stuff if you're accepting cryptocurrencies. This one's kind of cool. It's the first one I've seen with cryptocurrencies added into it. Now, they also got a pro version that will allow you to add custom currencies and set custom currency names and symbols. So this one here could be quite useful for your WooCommerce website if you've got people purchasing from different countries or wanting to buy in Bitcoin or one of the other multitude of cryptocurrencies that are acceptable. Go check this one out. Looks like we're giving this one a 5 dragon rating.
Just a quick note on that one. Once you set it all up and you're going through it, if you don't see your country or whatever country you're looking for in the immediate list, just search for it. That's all you have to do. Just search for your country. They give you a little search bar and it'll pop up.
There you go.
The first one I've got is Bitcoin Lightning Payment Gateway, LNBits. LNBits?
LNBits. LNBits.
LNBits.
We'll call it LNBits.
LNBits. All right. So this one, oh dear, my brain just decided to run away on me. Okay. So this one gives you the ability to accept Bitcoin as payment through WooCommerce. And it's only designed for Bitcoin. So if you already have something for regular commerce that you like and it works well for you, just add this in and it'll add in Bitcoin. It's pretty awesome. I can't say honestly how well or fast this works because I had no Bitcoin to test it, but it was easy to activate. I didn't have to go and get an API in order to make it work, which I find is a common trait for these kind of plugins. So it's definitely worth it if you find yourself in need of accepting Bitcoin for payment. I rate it at 5 dragons.
Excellent. All right, the next one I've got here for you is admin allow by IP. Okay, so this one here is a way to help protect your administration area from hackers. What it allows you to do is it set up and block or allow people to access your administration from an IP. Now, this is one of those ones that is pretty much only good if you're a single user and you don't have multiple people coming in, and if you're not using a VPN. If you're using a VPN, you'll never have the same IP twice. So you have to have your one fixed IP that you know isn't going to change, because the worst thing can happen. In fact, it happens all the time too. Even if you've got a regular IP from your internet provider, you turn off your modem for several days, or they decide to change things, you could have a new IP and you could find yourself not being able to get into your own website. So that's one of the drawbacks I see of this. Is figuring it out. But other than that, it's a really great tool to help increase security on your WordPress website. And reading over a couple things, it does look like they will allow multiple IPs in there. So you might be able to have multiple administrators from different IPs getting in and gaining access. Really good tool. Could be useful. Something you might want to check out. Go check it out. It's the admin allow by IP, and we've rated it at a 5 Dragon rating.
Next one I've got is world travel information. So for this, if you, your customers or viewers have any need whatsoever for traveling information and what is needed in order to travel to that country, then this is the perfect plugin for you. It's really easy. Just activate it and be sure to look for travel info on the right, as the name is a little different from the actual plugin's name. Once you're there, look up whichever country it is that you are wanting the information for, copy the shortcode, and paste it into whichever page you want. They provide everything, just copy and paste.
Cool.
And the information it presents does seem to be within the last 24 hours at least. So this covers things like the restrictions and what's required, what documents, everything that you need in order to travel to any of those countries. I rate it at 5 dragons.
Excellent. For those of you that still want to travel in today's current climate.
So some people don't have any option.
Well, some people don't have options but to travel, so yeah.
I could see this being useful for like a flight attendant, actually.
Yeah, well, it could be. They don't really have to deal with the restrictions. Maybe they just sleep on the plane to fly back. I don't know.
Maybe.
That's got to be an interesting one as flight attendants. You know, what do they do? Because they used to get off the plane, go to a hotel, spend the night, fly out the next day on another flight. So how do they deal with flight crews?
That's a good question. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, that one's kind of an interesting. I never really thought about it until you just mentioned flight crews, because the flight crews they're not there for vacation, and they're not there generally any longer than 24 hours, maybe 48 at the max, as they rest up for their flight back to wherever they came from.
Interesting.
So anyway, all right. Next one we got here is no active for GravityForms. Having your no longer active gravity throughout. Oh, okay. Is Blade? What's this one do? I didn't read this over.
Essentially what this does is for your forms that are no longer active, if you still have the link going, and like say you have a time specific one and the time is elapsed, and then once you click the link, it just takes you to a blank page, page not found or link not found or something. Instead of having that and people getting crazy confused, because people get confused over things like that, it throws up a page and it says, I can't remember what it says, but it actually makes it obvious that the link just isn't any good anymore, and you haven't been misdirected, you haven't lost yourself, you are still on the site, you're where you need to be. Just it makes it more easy.
Well, that can be useful if you've got tons of different forms that you need to turn on and off or manage or whatever, instead of having to take down the pages.
Yeah.
All right, that looks like a pretty good. Looks like we've rated that one at a 5 dragon rating.
I didn't realize how many 5s there were this show.
Yeah, well, the last one you don't have a link for, called OWM Weather.
Yes, OWM Weather. It's weird. I could have swore the link was that.
Well, let's go see if I can find it real quick. OWM Weather. The weather. The weather. All right.
So this is a plugin that you can either have it just as a dashboard widget, or there's also a short code that you can put on your page, or you can do both. And it tells you the weather for your area, or you can have it tell you the weather for different areas, many areas if you want. Unfortunately, though, unless you sign into the Open Weather Map website and get yourself an account and API address, you will have call limits. So it'll only update, like, I think it's like once every couple of days or something is what it said.
Yeah.
It's not very useful unless you go and get the API. Also, while I was testing it out, it was really eager on telling me that I needed to go get an API. I kept dismissing the message. It kept popping up. It wouldn't go away.
Yeah, well, you know.
Like one of those little yippy dogs.
Yeah, they do those sometimes with them.
So, I wasn't able to fully get through setting it up without the API.
Yeah.
And I I don't like the idea of having to go and get an API from a site that I had no interest in the first place. But if that is something that doesn't bother you, go for it. This could be very useful if needing to know the weather every day is something that's important.
Yeah, well, it is useful. And I think I've used something similar to this for a client that has offices across the globe. And so they could find out what the weather was in any particular area of their corporation. So we used it on their intranet set and in their internal network site when I built that out, and they wanted to have a weather page so everyone can know what the weather was in the different parts of the country and the world. So it is useful in some aspects, and if you're running an information site, it's useful. And the API keys aren't generally that hard to get when they're giving them away free. They just collect your email address, and sometimes not, stick you on a list. So, at any rate.
So I rated this at 4 dragons.
Excellent. All right. Well, we don't really have any listener feedback. We would love some listener feedback, folks. Please kick us some listener feedback. We haven't had any in quite a while. It's time to up the game, folks, and kick us some listener feedback. Let us know how we're doing, what's happening, all the stuff that's happening. Now, we are at the point of dealing with our contests.
It's a contest. WordPress plugins from A to Z. Stop for free!
Absolutely. Simple contest this week here. We've had the contest running for a couple of weeks, but we didn't get all that many entries to it. So we're extending this out for another 3 weeks to the end of September. And the reason for this, obviously, the last couple of weeks, we haven't put much promotions out, and we were kind of scattered and sidelined. But we're back in the game now, and we want to get everyone out there. So what we're giving away this week is we're giving away Codexer deposits for WooCommerce. And this is a single domain lifetime license. This is a lifetime license, folks. You never, ever have to renew it again. It's valued at $179. So if you're running a WooCommerce website, or you have a client that's running a WooCommerce website, and they've considered the option of taking deposits on someone ordering something, and in today's climate of purchasing stuff, taking a deposit might be very important to ensure that people actually pay for your goods before you get them. Like sometimes you have something you got to make, or you got to order in, or you got to do something. A deposit can be helpful and useful. Well, just simply go to the link in the show notes. Just go to wppluginsaToZ.com/giveaway to get to it and register for this license. It's a really great tool and plugin. And who knows, if we don't manage to give it away, I'll keep it and stick it on my own WooCommerce store. So you want to keep me from keeping this sucking thing. I would really actually like to use something like this. And hey, a lifetime license, I'll keep it if nobody wants to enter the contest. But come on, enter the contest, register for it. It's free to enter the contest. We don't even send that many emails to you, usually a weekly newsletter. And that's really all it gets. And you can unsubscribe afterwards. So go check this one out. Go register for this plugin. Whether you need it, or you think you might need it, or you know someone who might need it, hey, you can get it and you can use it wherever you want to use it. Just register it for the site. All right, so with that being done, make sure you go enter the contest. It's going to run till September 30th. All right, and a couple of plugins I covered this show, all Currencies for WooCommerce, which was rated out of 5. The Admin Allow by IP, which was rated out of 5. And the No Active for GravityForms, which was rated 5. Should have said No Active Forms. That would have made more sense.
I agree.
Yeah.
But, also GravityForms is who they are specifically for.
Yeah,
so it kind of...
no, it said No Active Forms for GravityForms. At any rate, we gave that one a 5 too.
And I covered Bitcoin Lightning Payment Gateway, LNBits, which I rated at 5. World Travel Information, which I rated at 5. And OWM Weather, which I rated at 4.
Okay, and of course, we had actually sort of planned to have a meetup, but that got sidelined too, along with a lot of other plans. So we'll see what the fall brings, and maybe in the winter, things could change, plans change, the world changes. It's constantly changing so fast, nobody can keep up at the moment. So we'll let you all know when we finally get around to doing that. And also, if you're not getting enough of Amber and I, make sure you go check out our Shooting the Shit at the Rogues Tavern podcast every Tuesday evening at 8, or you can just subscribe to it over at theroguestavern.com. All right, and it is time for...
It's question and answer time.
Good, Amber.
First off, if anyone out there has any questions that they'd like to have asked on the show, send them in to me at amber@wppro.ca, and I will get them answered to the best of my ability, or my dad's ability, really.
Yeah, well.
So, question 1. What does it mean when you have failed transfers in FTP, and what do you do about them?
Okay, there's multiple reasons it happens. They happen all the time. Sometimes it's just a glitch in the transfer, the data breaks up or whatever. It's a common thing when you're FTPing files. It fails transfers. The nice thing about FileZilla is it creates another list for failed transfers. Mm-hmm. And what you can do about them is you take it, you select them all, right-click, and you put them back in the queue list, and you tell it to run the queue again, and then it goes and refetches the files, and now it gets the files. 9.9 times out of 10, it downloads the files because it was a glitch. It tried to overwrite a file, or it thought it was overwriting a file, or some other thing happened, and it just said, I can't do this one. It tosses it over to the side. Now, every once in a blue moon, it's a file that is so corrupt it can't be transferred, or on some servers, there's files that cannot be downloaded from the server because they're protected in some way or another. Those things happen too, so it's kind of a hit and miss. But for the most part, I get those virtually every time I do uploads or downloads. I get a bunch of files that end up in the failed transfer. I just move them back to the queue, process the queue again, and then they either upload or download with no problem.
Okay.
So it's just a simple thing to deal with, and it is one of the things that I've just learned to live with FTP.
Okay. My next question is, what does it mean when FTP takes 6 hours to back up files for you? Is that your computer being slow or the files being many?
It's probably the files. How many files are you downloading? How big are the files?
Oh, okay.
You know, are you so are you talking about here? You've gone into your WordPress site, you've selected all the files and folders, and you're downloading them, right?
Yeah.
And it takes 6 hours to download the entire set of files and folders.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the problem is it's the number of files, and also the number of files being allowed to download at a time. You know, most systems out there, most hosting providers will let you make 2, maybe 3 connections, so you can download 1 or 2 or 3 files at a time. Anything more than that, most hosting providers will block you from their server for what they feel like is attempted hacking, because there's too many files going at one time, basically sucking up their bandwidth. But if it's taking that long, it's generally all the files and the amount of time, because you can only squeeze the files through. If you got 10,000 files, they got to come down one at a time. If each one takes 10 seconds to go down, do the math. 10 seconds times 10,000. Mm-hmm. You know, that could easily push you up there towards 6 hours, because they're only going to come down as fast as they come down. And
okay, but the site that I'm thinking about, I've seen you do a backup of the site that I'm thinking about, and it only took like half hour to 45 minutes.
Okay, well, now you're dealing with your computer and its ability to write the data to your hard drive, and also your internet connection and its ability to transfer the data.
Oh, okay. So it can be either or then.
Yeah, it can be either or.
Sometimes both.
Sometimes both. Sometimes everything. You know, sometimes it's easier to say, okay, well, I don't want to grab them all a million. You go in, do the backup in cPanel, and then just download that one massive backup file.
Okay.
You know.
So I've only got one more question here.
Mm-hmm.
I'll read it out and then do the end.
Yep. You can read the question out, and we'll split it off right here for everyone.
All right. So how do you get your mind to wrap around something like a new theme when you just don't get it like you get other themes and tools? Is there a trick or a way to help push you over that initial hurdle, other than slamming your head against a brick wall or against a brick wall a whole bunch?
Well, that one will be interesting to deal with. And for those of you listening to the podcast, you want to hear the answer to that question? you're going to have to jump on over to the YouTube channel, scroll to somewhere near the end. I don't know, somewhere around the whatever 30-minute time frame, and you'll get the answer for that. That being said, we're going to let our girl take us on out of here, come back and answer this question, and then call it a show.
Reminders for the show. All show notes can be found at wppluginsa2z.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the newsletter for more useful information delivered directly to your inbox. WP Plugins A to Z is a show that offers honest and unbiased reviews of plugins created by developers because you support the show. Help keep the show honest and unbiased by going to wppluginsa2z.com/donate and set the donation level that fits your budget. Help us make the show better for you by subscribing and reviewing the show at Stitcher Radio, Google Play, and in the iTunes Store. You can also leave us a review on our Facebook page using wppluginsa2z.com/Facebook. You can also watch the show live on YouTube, check out the screencasts and training videos, and remember to subscribe and hit the bell to get notifications of all new videos. Follow the show on Twitter at WPPluginsA2Z. John can also be reached at his website, johnoverall.com, or email him directly, john@wppro.ca. Thanks for joining us and have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the show. This show is copyright by johnoverall.com. So until next time, have yourselves a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be out there on the globe today.
Alrighty. Okay, so how do you get your mind to wrap around something like a new theme when you just don't get it like you get other themes and tools? Is there a trick or a way to help push you over that initial hurdle other than slamming your head against a brick wall a whole bunch? What sounds harsh?
Back in the day, Hemdian was supporting client sites, non-WordPress around the world, third world countries, and when upgrading, he had to FTP the install files. Some would take days.
Oh, yeah. That's like dial-up days. Yes, I mean, I don't miss the dial-up days. All right, so dealing with a new theme or a new bunch of tools, wrapping your head around it, there's really no way to do it. What I generally do when I've decided to finally switch themes or tools is I find something familiar from what I was used to, and I start there and work my way out. You know,
Okay.
The hardest part is when I get a site, a new site inherited from someone else built it and they got to deal with it. It's like when I was given a Divi site and I had avoided Divi like the plague. And then
I don't blame you.
Then I had to wrap my head around how Divi worked. And so it took me a little while. And what I did was I first found a couple of things that were common with the way Elementor worked. And I worked from there. And then I started looking and realizing how they did their tools differently, or how they set up their windows differently, or how they function differently. And I slowly started to make the connections. And now I can work with a Divi theme okay. I'm not real good at it, but I can do an okay job at it. And I still got one client that's all in Divi, and they didn't want to switch, and they want it in Divi. They actually had another designer recreate the theme in Divi, and I still got to do some technical stuff to it. So I have to work around the Divi stuff. And it's one of those things you just sort of, you push your way through it. Try not to slam your head too hard in a brick wall. You don't want too much blood on your shirt. You know, there's no way around it if it's something you got to do. If it's something you don't have to do, or you can talk your client out of using that particular tool and into the tools that you're familiar with, that's what you really want to do. But if you can't, then you just sort of figure it out and try to work the way best you can. Sometimes it means spending a lot of extra hours that you're not getting paid for learning how to do it.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part about this business, is the number of hours that are spent unpaid on the learning curve.
Just before we end up finishing whatever word, this episode, Hendy mentioned something earlier that I thought was a really neat idea.
What's that?
He said maybe we need mini coding boot camps for those struggling with different aspects of WordPress, like Gutenberg. I wouldn't mind helping out someone with Gutenberg if someone could help me with PHP server switches and stuff like that.
Oh, what do you mean by server switches? Setting up the PHP on the server, switching PHP in the server?
I'm not sure, but
yeah, I need a little clarification on that, but it'd be cool because depends on what you're talking about on PHP is something I may or may not be able to do. But yeah, that's not a bad idea. That's something we could, set up. I've got the remote tools ability to have upwards of 25 people at a time in a meeting.
That'd be cool
to do these sorts of things. So. It's something that could be arranged and done. It would just have to be set up. So I would be interested in it.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that to the fore onto the show.
Yep.
I'd love to hear some feedback from anybody who's listening as to whether or not they would find that helpful.
Yep. Yeah, and Hemdian, send an email to Amber or send it to me, what you mean by what you're specifically looking for as far as PHP switches. So I need to understand that a little further. All right, well, let's wrap it up there. I'm going to call it a day. I need to escape town. I've got more stuff to do up at the Oasis. And let's move it on out of here with some Days of Thunder.
These are the days of thunder. We're going to make time stand still. A quarter after midnight, and I'm watching the wall. Sometimes I feel so uptight, I just can't sleep at all. Every day doing the same old thing, we're losing time. The weekend comes, we gotta have some fun and rewind. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. I feel the rope tightening, choking off our air. We need to grab some lightning. Friday's almost here. Caught in a web, we need to cut this thread we're hanging by. Where is it said you have to be half dead to survive? These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder.
Alrighty, Hemdian, send us an email and we will deal with that. That's all we got now. Take care and bye-bye.
Take care.
Adios, mofo.